Thanks again for talking with me.
It's
It's
okay.
always an honor. It's always an
I'll
honor.
say the same stuff now.
And I know you've probably heard this question, but I have to ask: how did you get on this, and why Superman? Was it Chris who convinced you, or was it Zack, or what was the sort of final piece that made you say you got to do this?
Well, weirdly, the question, I knew Chris was playing around with that Superman idea, but I didn't know what it was. And then, Zack came on board, and it was in the middle of we just finished Inception. We had there was a press party and with incredibly loud music and everything. And a journalist asked me, "So you're going to do Superman?" And I said, "Absolutely not."
I think I remember that.
Yeah. And then it was over the internet within seconds that they completely misunderstood me, saying I was doing Superman. So I thought this is really embarrassing. I mean, this is really. So I phoned Zack and I said, look, we've never met. I'm sorry, it wasn't me. It's a misunderstanding. And he said, "Oh, hey, it's a good coincidence you're phoning because I'm just listening to some of your music and I'd just love to meet." And I'm going, but I don't think I can do Superman. I mean, I think John Williams is your man.
Yeah.
John is, he is without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest living film composer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the word shadow comes in. He casts a large shadow. I didn't really need to. It's not about other people comparing us. It's my own insecurities comparing myself. So do I really want to put myself through this? Secondly, this is an American icon. I think it needs to be an American that scores this movie.
Does that? Well, sorry to interrupt, but does that with the American aspect? Does that play into your score at all? Do you think about that when you're actually putting together beyond that's who he is and where he's raised? Does it actually influence the sort of sounds you make?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, it did, but and then of course the inevitable happened. Well, Chris was trying to persuade me, forever, and I said, "Look, we got Dark Knight Rises ahead of us, so let's just get that one. Let's just, get into this." And he kept saying, "Oh, come on, you can do it." And I finally turned around to him and I said, "So, when you went to Warner Brothers and you said you have an idea for Superman, you actually went to them with an idea. That's the difference. Because right now you're saying to me, you can do Superman, and all I got between my two ears is a blank space. I have no idea." And then I sat down with Zack and we just started talking about. I never read the script.
Interesting.
I just sat down with Zack and I said, "Tell me the story," because I wanted to know what his take was, what resonated with him. And suddenly, we were talking about things that actually meant something to me. Like a stranger in a strange land. Being I'm a foreigner wherever I go, even if I go home. It's terrible. I lived abroad for so long that when I go back to Germany and I speak, and they answer me in English because I have an English accent. In no language do I have a pure accent. My children sound entirely different to me.
Right.
They say tomato, I say tomato.
Right.
They keep making fun of the word water.
Right.
So that thing about belonging, and then I was thinking, look, I've just spent 9 years being the darkest of nights,
Right.
and dealing with subjects of large cities and crime and cynicism and the modern world and stock markets and all that sort of stuff, And there's a part of America, this is where being a foreigner is a good thing comes in, where you go, hang on a second, I look at the Midwest and I see hardworking, honest people, honorable, humble, they don't get mentioned, they don't get glorified, blitzed, made into the Kardashians, and they are the real heroes. And I mean, so that became interesting. That suddenly became interesting. Let's go and celebrate them.
Right.
Not just for the rest of the world. But for America itself, I mean, the thing we foreigners do quite well is hold up a mirror and go, hey, look at this amazing place you keep ignoring. I mean, I remember, Thelma and Louise, us going, it's the Grand Canyon, wow, and some kids going, Dad, can we go home now? It's the Grand Canyon, it's boring.
Right.
And you're just going, no, I want to go and celebrate this.
How much actual time is required for you to invest in a score like this, to actually get involved in it and to commit to it?
Well, the thing was, I said to Chris, I'm not even don't want anybody to mention this word, oh, you're Superman to me again, until we finish Dark Knight Rises. Because I'll just be, I'll just be torn to pieces here.
Right.
So 15 minutes, I don't know. There was a point where I said, I think I'm finished. And within 15 minutes, it was like...
Really?
But then came a huge period of procrastination and self-doubt. And and I sort of had it in my head. I knew the colors I wanted to use. I sort of had the tune and everything. But, the problem about, Zack said earlier in the press conference, I wanted to do something humble. I know how to make a big noise and I know how we're going to do the action scenes, but it's the heart of the matter, so it's humble and it has to be simple and it has to be honest, and there's a really fine line between simple and simplistic and between, stupid and actually something worth pursuing. So I had the notes, but I just wouldn't play them to anybody. And finally Zack phoned and said, so you got anything? And I'm going, just got these little post-its, you might want to put on your fridge, or some piano doodles. He goes, I love piano doodles. Let me come down and hear them. So I sort of, did the embarrassed tap dance. I mean, look, here's the thing about composers. I'm very comfortable right now talking to you because I'm hiding behind a secondary language, a secondary layer. Right. When I play you something, that's really me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm completely fragile and vulnerable. And so you want to work with people like Zack or Chris who don't make fun of you and respect that, and keep you safe. And so I played him this thing and he's going, oh no, I think you're onto something, and of course as soon as you get that, it quietens the critics and demons in your own head a little bit. And okay, good. So we're off to the races. And he sort of laughed and said, Chris told me to phone you and go, I'm coming down, because Chris said, if I'm not coming down, I'll never hear a note. He was right.
Wow.
So to answer your question of how long did it take, all in all, probably 6 months.
Okay. At what point, you were talking about, you said that you didn't read the script, but you heard the story, and then you had the notes for Zack. At what point do you start to hear that? Are you looking at anything at that point, or are you still just completely in your mind?
While he's telling me the story, because the whole thing is, it's like this funny game you inevitably have to play. A director really truly is in control of his movie all the way through. He can probably act a little for the actors. He can probably rewrite a line. When it comes to music, he sort of has to turn it over to you. And so even though we are talking about music, and even though I'm listening to him as he's speaking, in my mind I'm going, my job is to do the thing that he can't imagine. So it's not what we're talking about. So as he's telling me a story, and the great thing about Zack is he sort of works like me, where to really articulate a point, he'll grab a pen and draw it for you. I mean, he's an incredible artist. And I'm used to that from Ridley Scott as well. It's like, and if I really want to make a point, I'll go and play it.
Right.
And then we're going to get somewhere. So that process is, you don't really want the pictures to run, you don't really want to see the cut, you don't really want to be you know, sort of constricted by the mechanics of it.
Right.
You know, just want your imagination to run.